What's going on, Ravens fans? Welcome into a Week 15 edition of Ravens Unscripted. The AFC North champion Baltimore Ravens. So much to get into after that Thursday night win over the Jets, and we've got a packed couch, but I think we have to address a color scheme thing we've got going on here.
Yeah.
We didn't plan this, but we're going to sink into it.
Team red,
It's
baby.
going to get weird here over the next half hour in terms of competition. But obviously we've got Garrett, Luke Jones of WNST, you know this man, and Ryan Mink, my red and blue checkered brother. All right,
Big
four downs. Let's do
trust.
it. I don't know if I need to be a teammate or can be a teammate with somebody who's doing that.
You can't do the big trust.
It almost reminded me of Justin Tucker coming to the podium. All right, let's start with the game. Garrett, is this the most exciting Ravens regular season in history in terms of this organization?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what's the close second? You could go to the 13-3 season in 2006, but just the way that the Ravens have gotten to this point clearly puts them as the most exciting team we've seen in franchise history. Lamar Jackson is going to be the most valuable player in the NFL. The offense seems to score touchdowns every single time they have the football. They're blowing teams out. I mean, we're up to like 4 or 5 games now where Lamar Jackson spent the fourth quarter hanging out on the sidelines wearing sunglasses and things like that. This team is so much fun to watch. They are the darlings of the NFL. It's just uncharted territory in a lot of different ways for Baltimore fans who are used to being the underdog and nobody respects us and nobody talks about us. This team is so much fun to watch.
Well, we can stop lying to ourselves, right? Offense is fun. It's really fun. We've told ourselves in Baltimore for years, oh, defense wins championships. Defense
sells tickets.
Exactly. You don't love football unless you love defense. You know what? I really love offense. It's exciting. It's fun. And just the personalities on this team, I think, have made it so much more fun. Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson. I mean, just good guys, good personalities. They're genuinely having fun playing with each other, a lot of these guys. So it's just been really a fun ride.
This franchise has Hall of Fame players that have come through here, won Super Bowls, but it's something different when the quarterback is the MVP of the entire league.
Yep.
It is electric, it's efficient, it's fun, and every week you're waiting to see what this team is going to do next.
Whose ankles he's going to break.
Second down. We're going to stick with the quarterback because it is second down, which is Lamar Jackson's down. And Ryan, the MVP debate may be closed on this couch, but nationally it's probably still open in some regard with Russell Wilson. You can look at some metrics by all these analytical spots that'll tell you ways that maybe Russell's more deserving. What did the Thursday night performance do for you, and really the last few weeks do for you in, I know you're going to say, cement him as the MVP?
Yes, he absolutely should be the MVP. And to me, it really comes down to 2 games in particular. What did both quarterbacks do against the same opponent, the LA Rams? Lamar Jackson lit them up with 5 touchdown passes, just like he did against the New York Jets. And Russell Wilson struggled against them in a loss. What did they do when they went head-to-head out in Seattle? And I realize they're not playing against each other, but you watch that game, Ravens versus Seahawks, a few weeks ago or a couple months ago. Who was the best quarterback on the field that day? One threw a pick 6, and one did not. I mean, Russell Wilson's thrown 2 pick 6s this year. So to me, Lamar, any way you slice it at this point, is the MVP. I don't see how you can really make a case otherwise.
Garrett, let me just play devil's advocate here because this is the discussion on the outside. Lamar has better pieces around him and isn't asked to do as much as Russell Wilson is.
I just think that the way that Lamar affects the game overall is completely different than any other player in the NFL. The reason that this offense is performing at the way that they are, and not just Lamar stats, not just the 5 touchdowns multiple times this season, not just the over 1,000 rushing yards. He opens up everything for the rest of this offense, and that's a huge reason you're having a guy like Mark Ingram who's having a fantastic season. So he just changes the way that defenses have to play this team. If you take Lamar Jackson off his team and put somebody else at the quarterback position, I'll tell you this, they wouldn't even be close to having this record right now. That's obvious. We all agree with that. And Russell Wilson's great. No one's disputing that Russell Wilson's a good player, but the impact that Lamar Jackson has on the game and the performance of them head-to-head and against common opponents, I really don't even think it's a close race anymore.
All right, midpoint of segment 1, I think Team Gray might be leading right
Whoa.
now. Mink. So let's pick it
you're
up.
not speaking up.
Well, I have to
doing all the
play. I have to
talking.
play host. I can't opine as much as you guys. All right, Luke. Third down. Records, man. They're falling like flies. We've got obviously the Michael Vick rushing record goes down. We've got Mark Andrews, Marquise. What's beyond maybe the rushing one, and feel free to address it, shocked you most when you look back to the way the season started and where we are right now?
You couldn't find 2 quarterbacks more different than Vinny Testaverde and Lamar Jackson. Yet on Thursday night, Lamar Jackson
so
tied
true.
the franchise record for
That's a great
touchdowns.
call.
And also, he's doing that, yet there are 22 other quarterbacks in this league who have thrown more pass attempts than him. It's incredible. The other one, the 2003 Ravens had the franchise record for rushing yards in a season. Jamal Lewis had 2,000 rushing yards that year.
Was that the year he had the game where he broke the
Yeah,
record?
295 against Cleveland. So it just the records, and we knew these were coming, but you look at it, you look at the entire body of work, and what they're still going to do these last couple weeks, it's something special.
I don't think that you saw 33 touchdown passes coming this year for Lamar Jackson. I mean, we all saw the advancements he's made as a thrower over the summer, but this good and this efficient in the red zone. I mean, he threw a touchdown pass on a third of his passes. A third of his completions were touchdown passes against the Jets, which is ridiculous. Just the way he sees the field in the red zone. I mean, it's not easy to throw touchdowns in the red zone. Everything's more congested. There's a lot more traffic. That takes a veteran player oftentimes to get to that level to read a defense that well. Lamar Jackson, 22 years old, year 2, to be dealing like that is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people felt like that Vic record would stand forever. You know, that just he was such a transcendent, such a unique talent. And for Lamar to take it down in his second season, again, what else can you say about him and his performance and what he's done this year? He's the MVP, Evan.
Okay.
He is the MVP.
All right, well, he cemented it. I like Mink, though. I think that's a point for the red team. 4th down. And this is a group that hasn't broken any records and probably isn't discussed about as much, obviously, as the offense. But the defense has been on a tear here, Garrett. Are they underappreciated for whatever that means?
They are underappreciated. Over their current winning streak, 10-game winning streak, they have allowed the fewest points in the NFL. And that tells you the transformation that they've gone through. And Lamar gets so much of the conversation. We just spent 6 minutes talking about him. But this defense is playing at an incredibly high level, and that is why I think the Ravens are the most complete team in the league, and why they're the best team that's equipped to go into this postseason and make a deep run.
Well, and I think they're a much different defense than the team that lost back-to-back games to the Chiefs and the Browns. You look at it, Marcus Peters has made how many game-changing plays at this point? I mean, several.
Yeah.
D'Amata Pecco was really showing up to me in that Jets game. He was pretty stout in interior. And then Josh Bynes, LJ Fort. I mean, this defense has totally transformed itself. The pass rush is clicking now. The secondary is the best in the league. It's a very good defense.
Final thought,
A
Luke.
couple things. They are underappreciated, but it is easier to play defense when you have an offense that's out there scoring 4 or 5 straight possessions.
Very true.
And also, they're a victim of their own success as far as the tradition here in Baltimore. They are playing much more like a, quote, Ravens defense than they did in the first month of the season, but it's not a historic defense in that way. Right. So, yeah, they're not going to get as much publicity because you have an offense setting all these records.
Just getting started here on Ravens Unscripted AFC North Championship version of the show. Coming up next, issue or non-issue. Welcome back into the couch. Hard to imagine there's many issues with this team as they are on a 10-game winning streak, division champs, and looking like a chance to lock up a #1 seed in the next couple weeks here. But there are some things worth addressing. And Ryan, we'll start with you and the special teams. And Thursday night, we saw some breakdowns, a mixed extra point, which is really rare, and a block punt.
Yeah, it's an issue. I think the coverage unit has been an issue all season long, especially on kickoffs. I hold my breath on kickoffs now, and that's not a good feeling. I'm just saying, just boom into the end zone. I don't want to deal with it anymore. There's just, at this point, I'm concerned that there's going to be a big play against the Ravens. They gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown earlier this season, and I'm holding my breath that there's not one that, in a close game, that swings the game.
A close game in January,
Exactly.
which is rapidly approaching. I'm in agreement with you. I'm not worried about Justin Tucker. I'm not really worried about a punt being blocked.
No.
I think they'll get those things corrected. But, yeah, kick coverage, punt coverage, and I'd even say the return game they haven't gotten a whole lot of if you're looking for that to be an X factor in a potentially close playoff game. So, yeah, I think there are issues. I don't think it's something to be alarmed about, but relative to the overall makeup of this team, I'd say it's an
they've
issue.
lost a couple guys. Chris Board suffered a concussion, linebacker, great special teams player. The Justin Bethel they lost earlier this season when the Patriots picked him up. So there's been some losses to those units.
Yeah, just make sure to take a deep breath and then when you hold it, it's not going to affect you as much. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
All
I
right,
appreciate
all right.
the
Next
advice.
up,
Team Red. There you go.
I don't know if you've heard this, Garrett, but Lamar Jackson, effective as a runner, but also vulnerable to take some hits. And we've seen those hits pile up. Had the quad injury that obviously didn't affect him in Thursday night's game, but he took a big hit on the record breaker. So issue or non-issue, teams clearly trying to do whatever they can to beat him up.
I'm going to say it's a non-issue. Everyone talked about the quad injury last week. Would it limit him at all? Would he be hobbled? Would he look any different? I don't know. He looked okay to me on Thursday night. He was pretty good. And so everyone talks about the concern of Lamar Jackson getting hurt. People have been talking about it since he was at Louisville. It's never going to stop. People are going to be talking about this for the rest of his career. I'm going to enjoy what he's doing, and he has shown me enough that he's able to avoid most of the big hits. Guys get hurt in the NFL all the time. If he plays 20 years in the NFL, he is going to spend some games on the sidelines because he's going to get hurt. But I'm not going to sit here and worry about this and hold my breath.
What about the issue of teams saying we can't stop him, so whenever you get a chance, take a shot, and hopefully over the course of our game or a season, we'll benefit from it?
I don't think that players are trying to hurt Lamar Jackson, but I definitely think they look at it and say, if we're going to stop this Ravens offense, we need to cut Lamar Jackson's legs out and make him not want to run. We got to hit him in the legs. Teams are definitely hitting his legs a lot, and I think over the course of time, it's going to pile up. Now, a week off, or a couple weeks off with a bye would definitely help things.
All right, last up here, Luke. The Cleveland Browns, they look like a team that has been a mess at times, but their best memory is a big win against the Baltimore Ravens. Issue or non-issue, facing this team really in this moment?
I'd say non-issue, other than it's an AFC North road game, and you always have to be wary of that. We saw how the Ravens had a heck of a battle with the Steelers back in early October, and I don't see this being an issue. I think this is a different kind of Ravens team than it was in Week 4.
Ravens are going to be fired up for this game in Cleveland. They are not happy about losing to them earlier this year. They don't want the Browns to have that chip or that kind of bragging rights over them. Ravens are going to be. They know that if they win this game, they lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC. Ravens are going to be just as fired up as the Browns are, I think, for this one.
Yeah, I'll say non-issue. I'll be quick, short and sweet.
I think the game's going to have some juice, though. It should be fun. And we've obviously got no issue with red and blue check.
We do, though. We have a big issue with
I got an issue with gray. I mean, come on, it's boring. More Unscripted coming up. Well, with 2 games left in the regular season and a ton of playoff implications to sort through, and the Ravens obviously being in a great position with the number 1 overall seed in their sights, it's good to sort through, guys, the playoff picture and the teams that the Ravens could face, don't want to face. And Luke, we'll start with the other side of things in the NFC. Already took down San Francisco at home, but if they were to see another team in the Super Bowl, obviously, who's the scariest?
Well, I mean, San Francisco, but how about the team San Francisco played last week in what might have been the best game in the NFL in the regular season, New Orleans, who I think when you're talking about teams that match up against the Ravens, do you have a defense that's good enough to maybe hold the Ravens into the 20s as far as points scored? But do you have an offense that can score into the 20s or 30s against the Ravens defense? I think San Francisco potentially, maybe under better weather conditions, but certainly New Orleans with that offense, Drew Brees, and that defense, what last week notwithstanding, I think they're capable. Those are the teams I really look to in the NFC.
I'm buying into the 49ers as the top challenge. I mean, we saw it here at M&T Bank Stadium. We all came away from that game saying that could be a Super Bowl preview, and I'm sticking to it. Their defense is lights out, and then you saw how many points they can score now. Jimmy G's heating up a little bit. You saw him outscore Drew Brees and the Saints, so they can do both.
It'd be wild if that was the same thing that happened in 2012 when they played San Francisco.
Yeah, it would be wild. Playing Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, that's what scares me.
All right, AFC. The team, whether it be in the divisional, which looks reasonable, obviously, or in an AFC championship game, Garrett, scariest team in the AFC?
It's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a team. The Ravens already lost to them once this year. They lost to them last year. Patrick Mahomes is a fantastic quarterback, might be the best quarterback in the NFL. So,
Whoa, we got a pretty good one here.
Yeah, he's right there. Patrick Mahomes, last year's MVP. So he's last year's MVP.
Captain Purple here wearing red and blue.
Yeah. He's a great player, and playing them wherever it is scary because they're a team. You know, they lose some games early on. He deals with the injury, but if he's healthy and they come into this game, they can win anywhere.
Team name, we got to roll.
Chiefs.
If it's not the Chiefs, New England is not dead yet until they're dead.
That's really well said. All right, guys, do the Ravens clinch the number 1 seed? And if so, when do you think it happens, Ryan?
I think they do, and I think it's this weekend coming up against the Cleveland Browns. I think the Ravens, like I said earlier, are going to go into this game with pretty set on claiming that #1 seed this weekend and making that Week 17 game not even matter.
I think it comes next week in Cleveland, but they're going to be the #1 seed. The Ravens, they're going to lose their last 2 games, and Kansas City and New England are going to do what they need to do.
Right.
Nah, that's not happening.
Yeah, Week 17, I don't think it's going to be one that matters. Ravens clinch #1 overall seed in Cleveland.
All right, you heard it here first, or maybe not first, maybe last. Who knows? There's still a lot to sort through from that win Thursday night against the Jets. Best of the rest coming up after this. Welcome back into Unscripted. Plenty to still get to after that dominating win over the Jets. How about some best of the rest, fellas, as we dance around social media with some fun images, some messages from one Michael Vick. But we start with, I think, my favorite here. This is Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown, maybe an alternate way into the stadium.
Right before pregame introductions, I mean, we've been waiting for the replacement for Ray Lewis with the squirrel, right? Why not have Lamar come out in the golf cart? And notice he's giving Marquise Brown the ride, not the other way around.
That's true. That's true. Hollywood does kind of drive him around everywhere. Look, I honestly think that this goes to show you just how loose this team is right now. I mean, this is before a game. They're relaxed. They're having fun. Primetime football. Like, this team is just so loose, and all of it starts with Lamar. This guy's able to go out there and play in any environment, any circumstance, and just have a blast doing it.
I love how they're like actually legitimately looking for the key.
Yeah.
I mean, what stopped them from doing it? That's what I want to know.
Steve Bisciotti probably had.
All right, let's keep it rolling. And this was really cool. And look, it was a big theme of the night. And this is Michael Vick giving his congratulations to Lamar Jackson after the record-breaking run.
Congratulations, Lamar. We knew it was coming, man. Like I said, you was the guy for the job, man. And you did it and you did it well. Keep rushing and set the bar high, man. It's going to be amazing run for you. Appreciate everything you do for the game.
All right, a bunch to sort through there. One, he's got a nice setup for this game. He looked a little
I wanna
bit
watch games at Michael
more
Vick's house.
comfortable than many of us on a cold night in Baltimore. But again, this was probably the main headline beyond obviously winning the division for this game.
For sure. Just a cool moment. I think it's been really neat how Michael Vick has really embraced this whole thing. You know, he's really embraced Lamar. Lamar is a guy who looked up to him his entire career, his favorite player. And Mike Vick has been really neat about him breaking his record, saying all the right things. You know, records are made to be broken. If there's anybody going to break it, I'm glad it's Lamar. So it's neat to get the real live reaction on that.
There's a real connection between these two. I mean, you talk about Vick kind of being a mentor to Lamar, and that's been the case over the last several years. And Lamar has looked up to him his entire life. So I just think the connection between them is real. And it's not just like, oh, there's some old guy that used to play football, I broke his record. Like this, they know each other. There's a relationship there, and you see it in that video.
And there's some depth to it, Luke, in the sense that, yes, he's broke the rushing record, but then he's almost taken everything Michael Vick did and then elevated it to another level. So that allows us and everyone that discusses it to see that.
Yeah, it's Michael Vick version 2, right? New and improved. I think what's so cool about this, there's been no shortage of records and accomplishments for Lamar Jackson this year, but this is kind of the first really big one. I think most NFL fans, if you ask them, who owns the record for rushing yards for a quarterback in a single season, you would guess Michael Vick, maybe Randall Cunningham in a previous era, but this is a big deal. You thought Lamar had a chance to do this at some point in his career, but for him to do it in his first full year as a starter, pretty special.
Yeah, it took Vick a few years before he did it in 2006.
Yeah, the only issue is the hit he took on this run was pretty brutal.
That's the biggest hit he took all year.
Let's keep this quarterback talk rolling with a guy you might know, one Tom Brady. He sent this tweet out during the game. Me versus Lamar, 40-yard dash on natural grass, but he has to wear rollerblades. Who's buying the pay-per-view? So I ask you, Ryan, you're buying this pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely I'm buying that. Well, it depends. I'm pretty cheap. Depends on how much that pay-per-view costs. I'll say this.
Is that an expense, too?
Lamar, if this happens, Lamar has to wear the glasses he wore on the bench for the Bengals game. That's
doubt.
like perfect rollerblading sunglasses. He'll complete the whole look. I still have Lamar. I still have Lamar on rollerblades.
I just have one question, because the surface, as a former rollerblader, if this is really low-cut grass and there's maybe a bit of an arc, he could get some momentum going.
How far are we talking? I feel like you've done this recently. Just
I may have
Baltimore.
laid it in here. You don't know that.
I also think this is cool in the sense that this is Tom Brady. Who knows if this is going to be his last year or not? We know the Patriots have had their struggles recently, but yet he's caught up in Lamar mania just like everyone else to put that tweet out in the middle of the game. That's pretty cool coming from a guy who, let's face it, is probably the greatest of all time.
He's pretty good on social media. I hate to give Tom Brady props for anything really, but he's pretty funny.
I don't know if getting endorsed by Ryan Mink, Tom, is great for your street cred on
career
the
achievement right
social
there.
media.
Check it out.
But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, look, with Brady, I think it's just cool the way he respects Lamar. Like when the Patriots played the Ravens here a few weeks ago, after the game, he made sure to go to Lamar before
the
and
game.
after the game. I don't know that I've ever seen him go to a guy before a game and just say, I admire what you're doing. I really like watching you play.
All right, last up, you three were in the stadium for this. This was on the video board, the virtual Raven. How do we feel about it? I'll be honest, I was completely tricked. I thought that there was actually a virtual Raven flying through the crowd.
You thought
a
that
virtual Raven or a real Raven?
Well, no, obviously not a real Raven.
You thought there was just
but-
a dragon flying
Yeah,
around
or
in
like,
T-Bay
hey,
Stadium?
technology, they
Like
could
a
have bounced some beams and lasers and created it. Get on that, by the way. It'd be much cooler.
It was a fun moment during the game, and just to see this video blow up on social media, I think everyone who saw this video on social media had a similar reaction
they
to what
got
you
tricked
did.
like I did.
Like, what is happening? And even players, it was kind of funny after the game. Several players were talking about it and tweeting about it, saying like, that was insane. That was an incredible moment. Here's a nice little plug. If you want to see it in person, fans got to get to the games.
That's true. That's
I
true.
know.
It was really loud. I mean, it didn't show
What did
right
it
there.
sound
but
like? Give an example.
Sounds just like
Hear that again?
It would land on the field goal post.
You do
with
voice
its
work?
talons. Like that. I'm glad I'm the clown here.
No better way to wrap up the show than with that weird sound from Ryan Mink. Guys, good to be with you as always. Enjoy your long weekend. You've earned it, and we'll be right back here next weekend to get ready for Browns week.